How are sales and marketing related? Sales without marketing is just cold calling forever. Marketing without sales is spending money with no revenue. By the end of this video, you're going to see how to connect marketing and sales so it creates predictable revenue. In fact, before we get started, I need to correct something. When you look at the title, How are sales and marketing related? We got to start because marketing's offended just in the title. Why? Marketing always comes first. So in our minds, we need to replace marketing with sales and move sales into the spot of marketing. So it goes marketing, sales, operations, administration. Okay, now that we have that settled, we can move on. We have the privilege to work with a lot of businesses under 100 employees, and when we're doing that, many of them just have their own little sales department, and it's not even really a department. It's just a person or a collection of people, or in many times it's the owner continuing to develop leads and try to close the leads in order for their business to be able to deliver on. Here's what we found over time. Is if you outsource marketing to an agency, for instance, then you've got the agency over here just doing the stuff, the paid ads, they're doing the messaging, the print advertising, the ad placement, whatever it might be. And then you have somebody over here who's trying to close the leads, but those two people never talk. And you realize that when they never talk, there is a dearth of information that is not being collected and it's not being shared. Because where does marketing know the messaging to share with the prospect? They learn it from the sales conversations. Where does sales get the prospects to be able to have those conversations with? From marketing. It is an incredibly symbiotic relationship. It requires delicate pass-off between the prospect to the booked appointment, and yet marketing and sales rarely talks and is rarely on the same page aimed at the same direction. In fact, I've got a video I'm going to link to in the description below. It'll actually walk you step by step through how to build a marketing and sales plan. Because when you've got that plan in place, now marketing and sales not only can get on the same page, but they've got the same destination to start aiming themselves towards. All right, so I want you to think of marketing and sales as two sides of a column. You've got marketing on this side and you've got sales on this side. I want to walk through a series of elements to help you see the differentiation between those two disciplines. I like to put it this way. Marketing tells the world that we're here. Hey, we're over here. What it does is it goes out to the world, and particularly not just anybody in the world. In fact, if we're doing our homework correctly, what we're doing is we're identifying who the ideal clients are, who the ideal prospects are. And so we're not just going anywhere in the world, we're going to this culture, this pool, this group where people are at. So for instance, if you do a lot of work with contractors, you don't want to just go to any meeting, you want to go to a home builders association meeting. Why? It's because contractors gather at home builders associations. So you want to find the gathering point. So what marketing does is it identifies the gathering points for your ideal client, and then it creates the actions and activities to go spend time on a repetitive, predictable, and meaningful basis with those people. And through those marketing activities, marketing creates a database of people, names, phone numbers, emails, contacts. And at that point, sales comes in. There's a pass-off process or a handoff process. Sales is able to grab those contacts and then walk them through a very methodical process, ultimately leading to either working with us as a company or clearly not working with us as a company. So if we boiled marketing and sales down to its lowest common denominator, what is the ultimate thing that it does? Marketing tells the world that we're here. Sales tries to get the world that we want to spend time with and convert it into a customer. When you think about marketing, it's all about developing leads and prospects. When you think about sales, it's all about taking those leads and prospects and converting them into customers. That's why we say marketing comes before sales. But for too many business owners, we've merged the two together and it's this big gumbo soup of mess and it doesn't make any sense. That's why we don't have clarity on the actions and activities of marketing, and we don't have clarity on the actions and activities or the result of sales. Notice you got to have both. So let's go to both of those. In marketing, your actions and activities may be something like updating the website, doing paid ads outreach, joining the local HBA or BNI or some networking group where you can spend time and repetitively, predictably, and meaningfully start to develop those relationships. And the one result, not plural, singular, is booked appointments. So you have all these actions and activities that lead to one result in marketing. Now your sales system is very similar to that. You have actions and activities, sales calls, radical follow-up. All these activities then lead to one result, and that is closed clients. When marketing and sales does not communicate, what you have is you have wasted time, wasted effort. So how can we get marketing and sales to communicate? There's two primary tools that you can use. Number one is the marketing scorecard and the sales scorecard. And so that scorecard is built with what we call KPIs, or key performance indicators. And on those marketing scorecards are the key performance indicators, or the actions and activities, remember I said that earlier, that you put on there and you begin to track on a regular basis. So we're going to track those indicators, which are the action and activities. So for instance, in marketing, we may want to track the number of networking groups that we met with, the number of prospects that we connected with and got their contact information. And so we start to track these things and set them up to get them on the one result that we're looking for in marketing, and that is a booked call. When you look at your sales scorecard, you might look at things like the number of appointments that we had, the number of people who said yes to that appointment for a next step, the number of people that we followed up with, what those follow-up actions look like, and then obviously the result. How many of those prospects that we actually met with turned into clients? Those are all scorecard metrics that you can put on. So you've got a scorecard to communicate, but here's the other thing that would be incredibly helpful for you, is if you had a marketing and sales meeting that was once weekly, 1 hour, agenda-driven, and leader-led. In fact, at the time of this recording, here in just a couple of hours, we will be having our weekly marketing and sales meeting. It happens on Monday afternoon, every Monday at 4:15. And so we've got our scorecards, and we run our meeting like this. Number one, we celebrate big wins. Usually takes us 3 to 5 minutes. From there, we review our marketing and sales goals, those results that we've articulated to the team that we're going for. Number 3, we do a marketing update where we're looking at the actions and activities of marketing, and we do a sales update. We're looking at the actions and activities of sales and what those results are. And then the last thing we do is we actually go and articulate action items and next steps that we need to accomplish before our next marketing and sales meeting. That's it. Once weekly, 1 hour, no more. Ours is actually 45 minutes, and it follows repetition, predictability, and meaning. We have 50 of those a year, 50. And in those 50 that we have radical unity between our marketing efforts and our sales efforts. That is lead generation and closing those leads to new clients. There's a best practice that I want to throw into play that is super helpful when you're thinking about scorecards, you're thinking about meetings, because one of the things that we want to do, just like any athlete, any military command, what are they doing if they're not actually fighting a battle or playing a game? They're training. And in business, we don't do enough of this. So there's a super simple way to do this. Open up a spreadsheet, we call it an anchor. Put 52 weeks a year across the top, and then put all the different trainings that you want to do throughout that year. For instance, marketing training, handbook training, sales training, production or operations training, HR training. So put those line items there, and in the individual boxes all across those 52 weeks, put the different titles of things that you want to train. I get it. If you did all that right now, you'd be totally overwhelmed. So here's what I want you to do instead. We call it the systems mindset. The next time you do a process, let's say the next time you update your website, or the next time you go to a network association meeting, I want you to document it, capture it like it's the last time you'll ever do it. And then in what you documented and captured, you can run through AI. AI will actually build it into a training module. And during week number 3, let's say, your marketing training for that week is how to engage with associations. There's your training. It's done. We've actually done this. We speak at Build Expos around the country. And so we have a 10-page Build Expo document. Before any one of our new team members goes to a Build Expo, they have to read through the document. And then we've also created a summary page of that. And before anybody goes back to a recurring Build Expo, they have to read through the summary of that document. That ensures that we're properly trained to engage with that Build Expo experience. So now take that anchor, that spreadsheet, you've got all these different training items that are there, 52 weeks. So now you're proactively training your team. They're communicating because they're meeting weekly as a team in that weekly meeting, and they've got proper scorecards for accountability. It's one of the great things that we're lacking in businesses under 100 employees is that we usually lack the accountability and the implementation. But when we have scorecard, a subdivision, understanding there's a difference between marketing and sales, a meeting for those two disciplines to be able to meet together, and then repetitive, predictable, meaningful training all throughout the year, you are building a system that's going to create great predictability for you in your lead generation and also your sales conversion. Why do we want to do this? Because you want a business that runs and grows with or without you. How can you do that? By creating predictability in your marketing and sales so that you can be liberated from chaos to make time for the things that matter most.